good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. We're here to talk about the brand new show, Star Trek Prodigy, and the first two episodes, Lost and Found. Thank you very much, Daniel Vance. Anyways, this is a new show predominantly for children, but don't get me wrong. If you're a Star Trek fan, I'm pretty sure that you'll be very much magnetized to this particular show because it is Star Trek after all. So, this show is about young aliens in the Delta Quadrant. Know nothing about Starfleet. There are some people who know about Starfleet in the Delta Quadrant, but not the protagonists who we tend to follow. So, I'm going to start off with you, cousin Cheeto, as somebody who watched this particular episode today. What did you think of it?
I mean, it was what it was. It's kind of exactly what I expected it to be. There's some. Okay, so this is my analytical brain coming out. Like there were some things in the episode that didn't make sense that I couldn't correlate with like a Kazon. And was the cat in this episode a Cadian? I don't know. I mean,
The same as the Doctor.
yeah, same as the Doctor. That's what I'm assuming. It's just they're acting like the Delta Quadrant and the Alpha Quadrant and Beta Quadrant are like next door neighbors, like just a hop, skip, and a jump. You
Well,
know?
theoretically, they are by the borders, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but I mean, there's still 70,000 light years between the Beta Quadrant and where the Kazon were. I mean, at most like 65,000. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
as I said, that's just my nitpicky brain. Was it okay? Yeah, it was fine. The animations looked really good. Um, the animations look really good. I was impressed with that. Um, but yeah, it
Well,
did feel
definitely.
definitely more like a Star Wars show, like Daniel Vance said. It felt more like a Star Wars show, animated show, than a Star Trek animated show. So I don't. This is not my bag. Kind of, pretty much. I'll watch it for the sake of doing the reviews on it, and maybe it'll get better. But I mean, they even had Morn's species in there, like like in the Delta Quadrant. The Tellarites there, and I'm sure they'll try to explain how these things that how these things happen, or maybe they won't. Who knows? But I don't know. My brain keeps running with this show, and I'm just like, I mean, it was pretty. The voice acting was good. Okay, that's what I'm taking it at.
Oh, it's early days, yeah, and what I could tell already by the naivety and the eccentricness of some of these characters that without a doubt we'll be seeing arcs with these guys as well. Like the first character, Dal, the main character of the group,
By the way,
he
I don't
seems to
like him. I
well
really
he seems
don't.
yeah, well I do feel that whether it be this season or next, he will eventually calm his shit down and he'll be a lot more sensible and he will be a lot more like a captain because as far as he's concerned being a captain is just giving orders, and we kind of figured out that wasn't the case. It's about being more of a team player and understanding the rest of your crew and making the most of what crew you have. So you need an engineer, you need a pilot, you need a security, you need a communications officer, all of these sort of people. And that's what a captain does, making most of the crew at hand. This guy doesn't realize that yet. He just thinks being an escape artist is what makes him a very good captain. Being a very enthusiastic person makes him a captain, and he'll come to realize that's not the case. We had I'm gonna by the way I'm gonna pull up the characters. I decided to quickly take a picture of all of them. Just give me a second.
The other thing that really kind of irked me was the whole thing with the universal translator with the big rock guy or girl, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it had like this really snarly, nasty voice or whatever when it was you couldn't understand it, but then it had like this little Care Bear voice when you could understand one. That's not how the universal translator works. You still hear them in their voice, like, so it should have sounded like a little like dog on helium when he was growling. like truth be told. So it's just little things like that that kind of irked me. As I said, if I'm gonna let my kids watch it. I'm gonna see what they think of it. If they like it, fantastic. Because Sam, you're always been right about the fact that this show needs to be able to gear to a younger Star Trek audience and kind of make that gateway for them. So I'm not I'm not shitting on it because it's bad. Per se, I'm just basically saying it's not really for me. But as I said, for the sake of the reviews and unless somebody else wants to step up and review these with you, I mean, I'll do it.
Well, I just want to quickly see what Daniel Vance has got to say. When the Protostar finally launched, I immediately thought Goonies in space, but instead of finding one I'd really ship and leaving, they simply stayed on board.
Yeah,
I
right.
know what I know what you mean. There were loads of elements picked from other items of pop culture, but I'll tell you what, this person Angus Imri, I actually thought the voice was very feminine like, and I'm surprised it's this particular person voicing it. Nothing wrong in that at all. He sounded very much like Tilda Swinton. Zero did. I'm not sure if you noticed that.
Yeah, it sounded a lot like Tilda. I thought it was Tilda Swinton until I looked it up. So
I knew it wasn't, but I just thought it just sounded like him. And D. Bradley Baker, the guy who does all the Clone War, the clone voices and stuff, he's voicing this blob who doesn't really make any significant sounds in the first place. So
he'll probably have an arc where he says they're probably going to try to get him to say words all season, and then he'll say a word at the end of the season. It'll be like Ponfire or something like that.
well, look, like I said before, this was just a pilot episode. We got to get to know our characters. I'm sure arcs will be going with all of them here. Like, for instance, Gwyn, the girl in the top left. I mean, she's definitely going to be somebody who will end up being part of the team. I'm sure she'll be conflicted,
Well, she
but
was
she'll
conflicted
definitely.
in the first episode, so I mean, yeah, that's obvious.
She's conflicted in the first episode, but she's conflicted in the sense that, um, I mean, like she didn't want to hurt people, but now she'll be conflicted in the sense that now she's with these convicts. Does she want to stay with them, or does she want to get back with her dad, who is the big bad of this show? We also had a General Grievous type character as well. I forgot his name. I'm sure it'll come back to me, but you know who I'm talking about. It was a cross between Darth Vader and fucking General Grievous.
Oh yeah, that was another thing. I mean, this as I said, watching this whole episode was kind of just like meh for me. I'm sorry it was. I can't.
Well, it didn't get Star Trekky until they got on board the Protostar. Because I'm thinking to myself, I forgot what show I was watching for a start.
I mean, that's what
Like we did
Daniel
get
Vance said. Daniel Vance said that he felt like he was watching Star Wars, and I'm like, I can see that. Like, this is definitely a Star Wars esque
on.
show.
I mean, when it comes to animation, liberties can be taken. So I can understand that. But I'm even if all the characters might not rub off on me, there are some that definitely will. I think Murph, the Blob will. I think Zero definitely will. I think people will expect more from Zero because she sounds very intelligent. I mean, she did build herself a vessel. Just being a beam of energy. So she comes across as somebody who's very smart. I think Rock Tack will definitely rub off on me as well, and Jankum Pog will definitely rub off. I mean, I think they all will. Even Dahl and Gwyn, I think they all will. I mean, I think Dahl might be a bit overbearing because he'll be the front and center of the show. But now Catherine Janeway, the hologram version of her,
By the way,
has
when Janeway activated and they didn't use the actual uh the sound effect the same sound effect for the Doctor, that's kind of sad.
Daniel Vance. I definitely realized that Murph was Yapet from Oval, and how things have gone. Have things have turned around. Orville was pretty much a a ripoff and a very very good ripoff of Star Trek. But now Star Trek are ripping off Orville by using this character of Murph. And I'm sure he'll save the day and whatever. But now, like I said, now we got another character in the game. Will be interesting, and I don't think it'll be straight up exploring either because they've been chased by the big bad, who's some sort of Emperor Palpatine in the Bacta tank. which will be interesting
It's
to
like a
see how
cross
that.
between Vader out of his suit and Emperor Palpatine.
Well, Zero here is a telepath, and he, oh sorry, it couldn't read the mind of Emperor Palpatine. So it'll be interesting to see what skills Palpatine has, because I'm calling him Palpatine for now because his name escapes me. I'm sure I will know the name eventually, but it'll be interesting to see what skills Palpatine has, because I'm sure telepathy is definitely one of them. And I don't think he gives a shit about his daughter either. He gives a shit about the spaceship. His daughter was on the spaceship, and he told General Grievous, don't destroy the ship, when General Grievous was aiming at the ship. And General Grievous, yes, I know. And after watching, what culture Trek, there could be you know, there could be tension building between General Grievous and Palpatine. So we'll see how that pans out as well. It'd be interesting to see. And I know they were mining for for the protostar, but how did it get there? We need to find out eventually. What connection does this have to Voyager? That'd be very interesting to know, but it does. I mean, fucking Janeway's on this ship as a hologram.
I don't think it'll have any real connection to Voyager. I think it'll just be Janeway's the hologram. I mean, Captain Chakotay is supposed to show up, which, as I said, there's
Oh,
more.
yeah, keep talking. I'm going to quickly show you something as well.
I mean, Captain Chakotay is going to show up, which will be nice to see. I like Chakotay. I just felt his character was a big disservice on Voyager, kind of like Harry Kim's. Although Harry Kim had better character arcs than even Chakotay did. So
I'm going to show you something right now. Just give me a second.
and I just learned from Trek culture that apparently Chakotay was not a commander; he was a lieutenant commander on Voyager, based on the insignia on his neck.
Yeah, that's what I saw as well.
So I thought that was interesting because I never knew that. That is something I had not heard. But whoa,
What do you think of that?
is that supposed to be him or is that fan art?
I don't know.
That looks way too young. That looks like Voyager babies, like Muppet babies, but Voyager. Like that looks way too young. Voyager babies flying from Delta Quadrant.
I can't help but feel this has to do with control. The actors seem way too much like Disco, but instead of the human hand, we see zeros. Yeah. Well,
I think they're kind of leaving control in the dust. I think they're not. Control's just not a factor. I would say.
we're talking. I think I just had to register what he was on about. Then we're talking the
Discovery season 2.
Yeah, from season 2. Yeah.
I think they're kind of leaving all that. That's why they went to the future at the end of that season. They're like, we're leaving everything in the past so we can do something different.
I think what we're going to get here, Daniel Vance, is like there's going to be lots of Easter eggs and definitely bits and bobs here thrown towards fans of Star Trek like ourselves who know our shit. But because this is also aimed at kids, a new generation of Star Trek fans, hopefully, I think they're not going to like drown in too much lore. So like,
this is not going to be a Lower Decks. Like we're not going to get like there will be probably small Easter eggs, but nowhere near like Lower Decks. Lower Decks is for us old fogey Trek fans. This is definitely geared towards a new audience and kids. So I'm going to subject my kids to it this weekend. I mean, when they get back here, I'm going to make them watch it, and I'm going to tape their eyeballs open with toothpicks. So, and if they don't like it, tough.
Yeah, exactly. But I do feel this is the beginning of like two types of adventures: one of exploration and one of being chased by the antagonist. And it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to merge the two. I'm very much looking forward to seeing the additional episodes for this. I didn't mind it too much. It was an okay start. Pilots are never usually the best way to start a show. Oh, I mean, pilots are the only way to start a show, but they're never the best way to grasp and get an idea of a show. You need a few episodes here or there just to really get a taste for it. And we'll find out soon enough regarding Prodigy if it's going to be really that good. I'm really hoping it does appeal to kids, and I'm really, really happy that it hasn't been dumbed down because that was one of the things that was concerning me. Making a kid Star Trek show, I was really worried how much they were going to dumb it down and make it just so kiddish like that it wouldn't appeal to adults at all. But you could tell this is very much a family show. Not just for kids. Adults can definitely watch this and enjoy it. And there's some. I'm sure we're going to come across lots of Trek moments, sort of Trek sort of motifs that'll make us very much appeal to this. The diplomacy, the exploration, the discoveries. I'm sure all of these will come into play at some particular point, and definitely it'll definitely appeal to us Trek fans. Would you agree?
Yeah. As I said, I'm not super on board with it, but I'll try to tough it out. I'll try to see how it goes. Um, but the first two episodes haven't impressed me, but they're definitely not as bad as I thought they would be.
Well, look, as we're in the Delta Quadrant, we're not going to get. I mean, we're in the fucking far end of the Delta Quadrant. We're not going to get many familiar aliens for sure. We saw the Kazon earlier on, but you know how Voyager went when they were getting closer to home. The Kazon were in the rearview mirror because they left that
The
section.
Kazon were in the rearview mirror in the first 2 to 3 seasons, because then
Yeah,
they
so I'm
jumped
saying
10,000 light years and basically were
no. So
knocked
yeah,
10 years off their voyage.
yeah, but one. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So you could tell how far in the Delta Quadrant they're in because the Kazon were in this particular episode.
But
And
that's also what I'm saying is like you have Morn species that showed up, which is an Alpha Quadrant species. You've got
the
Acadian.
Tellarites.
You've got, I mean, are these people just wanderers from the
Well,
Alpha Quadrant
no,
out to
no,
the Delta Quadrant?
no. I already heard a rumor, not a rumor, but some of the conspiracies coming up regarding this. Like, apparently, the caretaker is the person who was like bringing all these aliens and all these species from different quadrants in the universe, and that's how they ended up there in the first place, like how Voyager did.
Okay. I mean, that's a way to explain it, but like we don't know where in the timeline this is either. I mean, is it like obviously it's after Voyager and the technology on the Protostar looks like it's after Voyager got home. So is this like so this isn't during Voyager. So how many years after Voyager is this? I mean, how they're as I said, I'm just waiting for answers and that's fine. I'm not holding the fact that it didn't give me all the answers in episode 1 and 2. I'm not holding that against it. But I am curious about these facts.
For me, first of all, the Protostar. How the hell did it get there? The antagonist mentioned Starfleet, the Federation,
Mhm.
very briefly. Didn't want
The
his daughter
Federation, yeah.
didn't want his daughter to know about it because he believed that his daughter could easily be swayed. Um, you can tell that his daughter's just a tool to him because he doesn't give a shit about her, the well-being of her, just the fact that he wants to use her. She Her only sort of like knowledge of the outer cosmos is languages. That's why she speaks so many. Um, but it's going to be interesting to see what what the situation is with the antagonist towards the Federation because he does know about them, and why does he fear them? But in a way, the Federation in this show has almost become like the one-eyed Willie mystical thing, the mystical being, the magic of the Federation. you know
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like I mean, the one interesting thing about this show when we first started talking about it was, it's going to be in the Delta Quadrant, so it's going to be, we're not going to have any like I felt like we wouldn't really have any like Alpha or Beta Quadrant races if it was in the far reaches of the Delta Quadrant, but we've already seen like 3 races from the Alpha Quadrant. As you said, if they explain it away by the caretaker pulled them from the Alpha Quadrant or Beta Quadrant into the to the Delta Quadrant. Okay, whatever. I mean, that's a good enough excuse. I just don't think it's very creative. Or as I said, I was kind of hoping we wouldn't see any Starfleet or any Alpha Quadrant races. They'd all be new races. I mean, they all look like even the Tellarite doesn't look Tellarite. I mean, you know what a Tellarite looks like. They got the beards and they're, so
Yeah, he looks like a hog.
yeah, like I wouldn't have cared if he was a new race. Like I don't need him to be a Tellarite. Makes no sense that actually he's a Tellarite. So I
But I
mean,
did like the fact that they didn't understand each other until
I did like
they
that
came.
fact. I thought that was very clever.
Yeah, until they came across the universal translator on the ship, and then they were all able to communicate to one another. I wonder how prominent that's going to be now, because do they all need a fucking Starfleet comms badge to communicate with each other? And regarding the interior of the ship, it was very Kelvin universe, don't you think?
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting too. Maybe this is the Kelvin universe.
So it'd be the Kelvin's version of Janeway. Ooh.
Yeah, why not?
In
Why
this
not? I mean,
universe, Janeway didn't make it home.
well, I'm using an analogy from DC with Flashpoint. Like things kind of change, but it's almost like things stay the same at the same time, and that's what kind of happened with Kirk. Like even though like his path to being the captain was different, he still ended up being captain of the Enterprise. Spock still ended up being his first officer. Uhura, Sulu, Chekhov, Scotty, they were all still there, you know. So even though you make a ripple in the timeline, these guys still end up doing kind of the same shit. And I think that might be no different with Janeway as well. But it'd be interesting to see um, what happens with how she characterizes herself as a hologram now, because is she gonna be like, I don't know, is she gonna be like Data in that sense? Is she gonna have emotions? Is she not going to have emotions?
I mean, I think she's going to simulate some emotions, but I mean, it's kind of going to be like the Doctor from it's probably based on the same technology as the Doctor from Voyager. Like it can simulate emotions. It won't feel emotions, but it'll definitely simulate them. It'll probably simulate empathy when it needs to have empathy, and I mean, the hologram technology has probably come along, and personality subroutines have all probably come a long way since the beginning.
It's going to be interesting. I kind of realized why they did episode 1 and 2 together, because episode 1 kind of ended with them discovering the protostar, and that wasn't a good enough ending for a first episode. But and I definitely knew that Janeway was going to come at the end of episode 2.
Oh yeah, I could tell that too. I was like
Yeah.
Janeway. I wasn't even clamoring for Janeway in this episode. I was just like, I'm like, oh, here she comes. Like as soon as everything started up and they escaped, and everything. And
Well, they had to end episode 2 with her as a cliffhanger, into episode 3,
well, it's
because
because none of us knew she was going to be in this episode.
well, it's not just that, but
I'm
if she
kidding.
got introduced like halfway through, then you got to give exposition for all of that shit. But at least they can start off the new episode with her in there, and she can explain a few things, and then we can be on our merry way. And it's going to be interesting to see what sort of direction that we're going to be going now. Now they're in space. Now they've left this planet, this mining colony, so to speak. Um, it'll be interesting to see which way they go. And I thought, by the way, when they were on that colony, all those crystals, I thought that was dilithium. Did you?
No, because it's not the color of dilithium, but I thought it could have been just a creative liberty, like with the aesthetic. So I thought it could have been dilithium, maybe like a different type or something. But no, it didn't surprise me when they said it wasn't dilithium. It was I don't even remember what they called it. Something with an
Well,
H, right?
I can't remember, but that kid was going all ecstatic Dahl. He finds these crystals, doesn't even know if they're fucking worth anything, but he just assumes that they are, which is pretty crazy. But we did get a good idea of our characters now. It's very early on, um, and we got a good feel for our characters. We know that Zero is an honourable person. We know that Rock Talk is an honourable person. Childlike for sure. But she saved Dahl. When that rock was about to fall on them, and that she's built like a tank as well. She's pretty much invulnerable. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the future. The engineer guy, we don't know much about him yet, but I'm sure he'll come out to be a good guy too. And all of them, like I said, they will. I think Gwen, like I said before, she'll eventually go close to the crew and want to stay with them. And Dahl, I think, will eventually find himself and stop being a spoiled brat. I do think that will happen. That will be his character arc. Whether Janeway as a hologram, develops as a hologram like the same way the Doctor did, would be interesting as well, because that's fascinating in its own sense. An artificial life form, developing a personality. But I do feel she's going to be a little bit, and in the sense of her being fresh out the box, she's going to be a little bit wooden, but that'll be on purpose because she's still trying to find herself. And she's going to be quite motherly, I think. I think she's going to be very motherly to the crew.
Probably.
Well.
She seems like she will be. I mean, it sounds like her and Dal have a past. Like not a just like they were, because didn't he say at one point, he said, remember when you were in something, we were in something together, and and you always wanted to yada yada. Like I know they had an interaction where there was clearly a past between them. Like
Dahl and Gwen.
Daycare, I don't know.
Dahl and Gwen you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. They've known each other because he's a slave on that planet, and she's a slave herder, so to speak.
She's the boss's daughter.
Ooh. Exactly. But she does. And by the way, that cat's going to turn. It's going to turn evil. Evil cat.
Okay.
Yeah, I guarantee. I see that in the future as well. I think Palpatine's going to grab hold of her and then manipulate her and turn her into evil cat. And and I think we're going to see more.
Then we can do the whole Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget. You'll pay for this, Inspector Gadget.
By the way, that ship, there may be more to that ship than meets the eye, because he doesn't want that ship damaged. So there must be something on that ship.
Well, either it's like there's a reason why it's out in the Delta Quadrant. So, I'm sure that the reason why is because it's got some kind of experimental slipstream technology or some kind of warp wormhole butt plug technology. I have no idea. I'm pretty sure it's got something to it. It looks a lot like the Prometheus class with more of a Kelvin spin to it. And I'm pretty sure that when we find everything out, we're not going to be shocked. And as I said, for kids, that'll be great, because the kids that have never seen Star Trek might be shocked. But I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be shocked at what they say here. So,
have you found this episode so far for you? With your kids? Do you think your kids will appreciate it?
I'm on the fence. I don't know. Sometimes my kids can be picky. Sometimes, like I show them good. I show them like gargoyles, and like they don't like it, but then I show them Young Justice, and they love it. So they're like, you have two of the best cartoons in history, and I show it to them. I show them each, and then they hate one and they love the other, and it's like I don't know who these children are.
Do your kids like Star Trek?
No. But that's why I'm saying this doesn't feel like Star Trek, so it might have a chance with them.
Fair enough. I know with Vance, he's very much looking forward to watching this with his son. So I hope his son ends up liking it, and just generally, whether we like it or not, I really hope this does appeal to kids. This is so important to me that it appeals to kids today. I don't want Star Trek to end with us, mate. Like us middle-aged old farts. It needs a new generation of young people to watch it.
Yeah. Well, and we have Discovery coming up. We just came off of Lower Decks. Like, as old people, we need to be patient. Like, let the kids have their show, and just we have Discovery coming up. And I know some people don't like Discovery, but season 3 was excellent. So
I'm fine with waiting on Discovery whilst we have this. I just hope this appeals to kids, though. If it doesn't, then I think Star Trek's going to end with us, and that scares the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
Because they might not end up making any more Star Trek if they only know that the future of Trek is us, and then within 10 years that'll be Trek done. because there won't be a future generation to appeal to. So it's so important that this show does what it's supposed to do on the tin, get some new people in it. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's promote it. Make your kids watch it. Force them to watch it. Toothpick their eyes. The fucking deal. Tie them to the chair. Make them watch it. Make them fucking love it. That's how it should be. But yeah, this is our first episode. Sorry, first two episodes. They were back to back. I can't wait for episode 3. This is being a decent start. I never really like to judge a show by the pilot. I'll judge it by the end of the season, get a better idea of it, see if we've had any arcs, any character development, any shocks and turns, twists, surprises, all of that sort of shit. Hopefully, we'll get little moments of Trek here and there, and well as new revelations as well, new types of aliens, new types of characters. We are in the Delta Quadrant after all, so I think liberties can be taken. So all right. So any more to say, my son, regarding this?
No, I'm pretty good.
Me too. It's been an interesting first two episodes. Let's hope it stays that way in the future. And now tomorrow, by the way, is the final episode of Dark Side of the Ring, the Stereotraw, with Vince McMahon being front and center of that. Let's hope the revelations of this particular episode fuck Vince McMahon over, because he needs a good fucking over, in my opinion. But nevertheless, here at NerdTube, we will be reviewing and debating that particular episode around about this time. So please join us for that. Until then, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube. And also, we have loads of videos on our channel right now you need to look at. We have the bottom 5 as well as several trailer reactions as well. And regarding our bottom 5, we're quite proud of that video. I think that turned out to be one of our best videos, by the way, Cheeto. And I think more people need to put eyes on that. Look at our bottom 5 of fan film reactions is on NerdTube right now, as well as several other trailer reactions we've done within the last couple of days. All right. So thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Anything more to say, Cheeto?
Nope, I'm good. Catch you guys in the next one.
Yeah, take care. We'll see you cunts later. Bye-bye.